What is it about plumbing that you like?
I always wanted to work with my hands, and plumbing is one of those fields. I feel like I would enjoy any mechanical field, but doing service work and the stuff we do, getting to interact with people on a daily basis, go to their houses and like solve their problems feels great.
These plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, these guys are so bright. And the work they do is like art. When you step back, you let them rebuild or replace your boiler or tankless or whatever they're doing, or even under your kitchen sink. You open up your kitchen sink and it's a work of art under there, right? What should an apprentice do for sure? And what should an apprentice stop doing for sure?
Keeping an open mind about stuff is really good, and there's been a little bit of a shift culturally in what, younger guys coming up into the industry are expecting. I'm pretty young, I'm 21.
Okay.
And I know when I was in high school and stuff, nobody talked about the trades as if it was a viable option. It's just the old guys, their belly hanging out, you know what I mean? So keeping an open mind, like entering into the industry and thinking about yourself as specialized, as dedicated as engineers, lawyers, doctors, like it's 100%. A skilled trade.
Welcome to Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice, the podcast where we bring you a diverse lineup of guests, apprentices, seasoned professionals, visionary entrepreneurs, business owners, and master craftsmen every week. I'm your host, Dennis. Yes, I am an apprentice because I'm never going to stop learning and trying new things. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, and I'm a business owner of a Zoom grain franchise in Seattle, Washington. And I'm on a mission to help hardworking young people get a profitable career in the trades without a college education. So this podcast is for people who are visionary entrepreneurs, apprentices in any trade, people who want to start their own business, and even young people without any experience at all. We bring you stories, insights, and experiences that will help you learn from the success and mistakes of guests and even myself. You can find this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's go! Thalan, welcome to Dennis the Apprentice Behind the Windshield at the PHCC booth at the Great Northwest Adventure. I did it.
Hey, good job. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So have you ever been to a trade show before?
No, not like this. This is my first time.
What do you think?
It's cool. Yeah, it's nice to walk around, see all the people, the stuff we use in the field, and the whole other side of the business side,
Yeah, it's a whole other world, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I avoided trade shows. I didn't think I had time for trade shows. And I was too busy making money. And then it took I've been in the industry 15 years before I went to a trade show.
Right.
And it's a whole other world. And it's so fun to see people. I went to a national show and all these guys that you watch on Instagram and stuff.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Who do you watch? Or
to be perfectly honest, I haven't gotten too deep into the online world.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can name anybody off the top of my head, but I know it's all out there.
Yeah. But you see them. You see, I recognize that guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I was at the show and the guy's like, Dennis the Apprentice. They turn around, this big British guy's give me a hug.
Right.
I'm in Florida. What's going on? Anyway, cool. So you're an apprentice?
Yeah, I'm an apprentice. I'm just under 2 years into it.
Okay.
A year and 8 months.
Okay. What'd you do before you were an apprentice?
Before I was an apprentice, I did kind of a mix of different construction stuff. I was, lowest dude on the totem pole doing framing for general contractors for a little while, just hauling around boards. And then I did a house foundation repair, lifting and leveling for about a year and a half.
Okay. How'd you find the plumbing then?
I was lucky enough to get a family connection. My current father-in-law at the time, father-in-law to be, had the shop. And, he said if I got an opening, you can come give it a shot. And I was a little hesitant just because it's a family business and all.
Yeah. He's one of those big bearded guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big bearded plumber, kind of intimidating. I was going to be an electrician before that, but I stepped into plumbing and I found I really liked it, really enjoyed the work.
What is it about plumbing that you like?
I always wanted to work with my hands, and, plumbing is one of those fields. I feel like I would enjoy any mechanical field.
Sure.
But doing service work and the stuff we do, getting to interact with people on a daily basis, go to their houses and solve their problems feels great. And then outside of that too, just learning, the mechanical aspect of the trade, and then getting to go deeper into, the physics behind it and the science. It really tickles my brain, and I always just dig that, and it's
awesome.
Cool to combine it.
Awesome. I had someone years ago referred to one of our plumbers, actually my father-in-law, as a glorified laborer. You have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's a reputation too many tradesmen get, and particularly service guys. I mean, it's just the big dumb dude's gonna come to your house and mess around under your sink, but there's so much more to it that you can learn and get into. Yeah.
It's and these plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, these guys are so bright.
Oh yeah.
So bright. And the work they do is like art. When you step back and let them rebuild or replace your boiler or tankless or whatever they're doing, or even under your kitchen sink. You open up your kitchen sink and it's a work of art under there, right?
That's the best feeling, when you're in a position like that, when you get to redo a nice big section or anything, it's make it look beautiful, make it look perfect. That's one of my favorite parts of the job.
Right.
And, I know dudes who are doing bigger commercial work, boiler rooms and stuff, they get to kind of practice the art form a little bit more than, crawling around in a dusty crawl space. But even that, getting to do a full repipe and, under some super old house, you're rolling around in mouse turds and stuff, but getting to put all bright new shiny plumbing in there, it feels good.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing that is a surprise in the trades is we get paid well eventually.
Yeah.
But there's this thing that money can't buy, and that's the feeling of helping somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like I was saying, like it's a big part of it. I've never been a super outgoing person, but learning how to go into people's homes and interact with them and know that like I'm making a personal difference in their lives when I step into that house and fix what's going on. Your hot water tank burst, no hot water all over your garage.
Yeah.
Like I get to come and fix that for you. It feels good.
If you think about it, for us, we're expecting something to go wrong today, and it might just be a lower element, right? But for them, they got no hot water, no showers today or tomorrow, and it's screwing up the life in a big way. For us, we just got to replace the element because we know what we're doing, right?
Yeah, we do it every day. And I think that it's something that I think it's starting to become a little bit more common. It seems like in the industry, particularly in the service, like focusing on the interaction with the customer and how important that is. You're not just there to do the job you do every day. You're going to be a big figure in this person's life, even just for a day.
Yeah.
They're freaked out. They're upset. They know you're going to have to charge you a bunch of money, and working on that interaction is really important.
Yeah. I think one reason the customer thinks it's a lot of money is because until it breaks, it's free.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have done such a good job as plumbers that they've taken their plumbing for granted. And for 30, 40 years, nothing breaks, and all of a sudden it breaks, and all of a sudden it's expensive.
It's so true. People go out and spend $1,000 on a new phone every single year. They don't think twice about it. But, when it comes to the things that make your life as easy and nice as it is, thankfully, where we live, we take for granted. We get clean, drinkable water out of every single fixture in our house every day.
We just turn this thing and it comes out, and it's hot or cold, and then we push the button and it all disappears, right?
Right, yeah. When that stuff goes wrong, people don't understand, what it takes to maintain and install and do all that work.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk to some apprentices out there. Like, in your time already, I'm sure you worked with some good guys and some bad guys.
For sure.
What should an apprentice do for sure, and what should an apprentice stop doing for sure?
I think that, keeping an open mind about stuff is really good. And if you're just entering into the trade, again, I think that there's been a little bit of a shift culturally in what, younger guys coming up into the industry are expecting. I'm pretty young. I'm 21.
Okay.
And I know when I was in high school and stuff, nobody talked about the trades as if it was a viable option. It's just, the old guys, their belly hanging out, you know what I mean? So keeping an open mind, like entering into the industry and, thinking about yourself as specialized, as dedicated as engineers, lawyers, doctors, like it's 100%. A skilled trade. And, something to avoid, I think, would be to just follow, or, you got to seek out the good information. Unfortunately, not everybody that you work with, not everybody who's teaching you, knows what they're doing. And it might not even be, it might not be, who knows? It's just, unfortunately, there is a lot of practices out there that, have become standard over years. People have been plumbing for 10, 20 years and that are going to teach you. I think it's important to look into the community. It's cool that it's got more popular on, Instagram and social media and the podcast that you do and stuff like that. Like, broaden your horizons, work with your journeyman, work with your companies, and look what else is out there. There's so much information.
And it's easier than ever.
It's easier than ever, just like everything else. You can go find so much information out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, it's just the way I've always done it, right? But why does it work, or what is there another way to do it, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and I think that goes hand in hand with, respecting the industry, respecting the trade as, it's specialized stuff. Like it's not everybody can just go do it and do it well.
Right.
And if you keep that in mind and seek that information out and think of yourself as, you're learning a specific dedicated trade.
Right.
It's not just hack and slash all the time.
It's not just hack and slash. I love that. I love that very much. Okay, let's talk about journeyman plumbers. When someone that teaches or a professor or a high school teacher, they have a degree.
Right.
They were taught how to teach. But in plumbing and the trades, once you have your license, everybody expects you to know how to teach, but no one's taught you how to teach. So let's do that right now. What are, as an apprentice, what do you appreciate about, what are some good things to do as a journeyman teaching you or a young apprentice?
Yeah.
What are some good things to do and what are some things maybe not to do?
So, everybody learns different. Some people are good at learning out of a book. Some people are good at learning with their hands. I figure if you're in a trade, hands-on is probably an approach that works good for you. And I think that as much as where you're working allows it, it's really important for journeymen to, I think, take the time to slow down and hands-on, coach your apprentices through stuff. I've worked with guys who are really good at that. And I've worked with guys who are kind of like, you're the apprentice, you carry my tools, watch what I'm doing. And then you should know how to do it perfectly in 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not used to teaching people and but you are used to doing your work and you do your work good, I think the best thing you can do for most people to learn from you well is to put it in their hands and coach them through it that way, rather than just having to watch it from a distance.
Right. That's a good point. I think a lot of guys end up in the trade just because they didn't sit in a chair and learn. Some people learn by lecture really well, right?
Sure.
But if you're in the trades, that's probably a good bet that you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need tools. We actually had a trainer come into our office, and one trainer, he gave everybody a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And they all stood up and said they started taking apart the tankless water heater.
Yeah.
And everybody was engaged. And I was like, because usually what happens at the end of the day, we have a class.
Right.
Everybody sits there and we start spacing off. We're tired. We've been working all day, right?
Yeah.
And this guy put a tool in the guy's hands. Everybody stood up and started taking the stuff apart. He started explaining the heat exchanger and the flow control, and everybody was lit.
Oh yeah, I'm going through I'm union, so
Okay.
residential, union guys. Not
You're rare
out there. I'm pretty rare.
Yeah.
And so I go down to my hall, Local 26, and I take classes, and we're residential. We're kind of an afterthought a lot of times, and I'm doing a backflow certification test prep class right now.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And
Stop. Can we talk about that really quick?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's a big miss in our company. Because people do it for $40, $50. They certify them once a year. And I thought, well, no one wants to do that.
Right.
But you know what? It's an invitation by law into a boiler room every year.
For sure.
And so if I could redo things, I would have all my apprentices like yourself get that certification. And then I would do it for $40, whatever the market is.
Right.
And then I would teach you how to say, hey, put my sticker on the water heater on the boiler.
It's definitely one of the things where, I'm in a smaller company. And so backflow certification for us, it doesn't feel like it's, necessarily going to be super lucrative. But having at the bare minimum, the knowledge behind it, knowing how the things you put in work, and it's so valuable. And again, it's a ticket into something bigger.
But it's by law, it's an invitation into that boiler room every year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think you're doing that's a huge thing for you.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it's not the instant money. It's like, that's not the point.
Right.
The point is the relationship you build once you get in the house.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really big. And, doing service anywhere, commercial, residential, again, the relationships and, if you're just there to certify it and you do it well, you do it, the customer sees that you know what you're doing with this one really specific thing.
Yeah.
And then, we can also take care of everything else in this room.
Yeah.
And like I said, to take it in by law, and it's an opportunity to kind of show whoever's hiring you just to do this one simple little thing that there's a lot more you can do for them. And, the way you do any amount of work speaks to how you do everything.
Everything affects everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all connected.
That's why even on my Dennis the Apprentice channel, I talk about washing the cars, washing the trucks.
Yeah.
It's like, I have my guys wash bathrooms. It's like,
right.
If I can't, the way I know how you're going to be in the home is how you wash the bathroom and wash the truck.
Yeah.
And if it's sloppy, that's what's going to happen in the house when I'm not around.
Yeah, for sure. You know, if you're cutting corners, you're not doing a good job, you know, not paying attention to the tires. And, you know, if you're just hit it real quick, you know, that's how you're going to be in a crawl space too. But
yeah, exactly. And then when I get into a truck and they detail me, it's like perfect. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This guy's going to work out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look the passion he put into cleaning this truck out.
Right. And, you know, I mean, I personally have done this myself, and I know other apprentices too, where, you know, when you're fresh on the job, you want to, hopefully, you know, you want to impress the people you're working with.
Yeah.
So you put that effort in, and, you know, if you put the effort in those things, you know, or if your journeyman hands you a messy tool bag that says, hey, clean and organize this for me. And it's, you know, your first week on the job, you want to make sure you do a good job and everything. You do super well. And you're like, oh man, that looks really good.
Awesome.
And the people you're working for are like, hey, that looks really good. You clean that truck well. You know, you're going to keep that attention to detail, but keep that in your mind as you go through your apprenticeship. And it's something I try to do where, like, I'm at a point now where, like, I'm more used to my job, more used to what I'm doing. And I think it's really helpful sometimes to go like, you know what? I should go wash that truck and put effort into it rather than the green apprentice, rather than the first day dude. It's super important to see how they do things. And I think it's important too, as you're saying, everything shows how you'll do the rest of your work.
Have you realized that you're starting your management training right now?
Yeah.
As the lead apprentice.
Right.
You're starting to build rapport with the people that you'll manage someday right now.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, it's something I try to keep in mind, and, like, you know, make sure that I'm also holding myself to the same standards that you know, that the green guys are. You know, I haven't been here super long, right? I'm not, you know, 10 years in the trade or anything, but I think that's a helpful thing for journeyman to do too, is, like, if you have just a trash truck and a trash bag, even if your work looks good, you know, think about what you're showing your apprentice. If you're asking them to keep everything neat and tidy and clean, you know, make sure that you are capable and used to doing that your own self.
Awesome. Yeah. I think it's super important. Like, we have a lot of training in our shop.
Yeah.
And one of the ways we got it started was even the licensed plumbers were there.
Right.
At 6:30 in the morning, my journeyman plumbers were at code class.
Yeah.
And it was like, if we want to work at this, the apprentices realized even the leaders are here. And so that's how the culture got started.
It's so important because, yeah, you have to maintain that culture. If you have guys coming in green and you're putting them through the training and you're turning them out of journeyman, to keep them in that, you know, I mean, we're required to do CEUs and everything once you get your card. I think, everything that you're teaching, you know, new guys in the industry, everybody should be continuing to learn and hone the skills and, you know, maintain their practices. It's important for everybody.
Yeah. And it builds that rapport with the apprentices. And
yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to another apprentice a little bit earlier, and he's like, one of the pet peeves that journeymen have with apprentices is they're always asking questions. But for our company, we have a before the service meeting for 1 hour, we do code.
Yeah.
And then in one of the evenings, usually a Thursday evening, we have a hands-on training.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 2 hours a week, one in the morning and one in the evening, where there's licensed guys around to ask questions.
Right.
And when you know that there's a time to ask a question, you can save this question until tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? And so, but having an apprentice is curious enough to ask questions is actually a wonderful thing. It's a
oh, yeah. It's the best thing, you know, and when I first started, I did that a lot. You know, my journeyman would be like, hey, you need to do this, cut this to this length, put this over here. And I got in the habit, first thing I would just be like, wait, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
And he was like, it's great you're asking those questions. Do it first, save the question, and then we'll go through it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, we do code study once a week, 2 hours in the morning every Wednesday.
Awesome.
And we save our questions throughout the week when we run into things that we haven't seen before, or, you know, is notable teaching experience, something we snap a picture, make sure we save it, write on a whiteboard in the shop Wednesday morning. If we're not doing, you know, code questions or doing wastewater drawings, you know, every couple of weeks we go through those questions, and as a team, we'll sit down and go through it and talk to the journeyman, you know, have you seen this before? You know, opinions, go through it, reference the code. That stuff is so important to, you know, keep everyone's training up and, like, just get the opportunity to discuss that. And, you know, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's happening is the older journeymen are starting to learn from the young apprentices.
Yeah.
Because you young guys are learning all this new high-tech stuff that is pretty intimidating to a lot of the older guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even myself, like, there's so much more out there to learn. And, you know, I would say I'm, like, relatively technologically inclined and everything, but Yeah, it's really cool to dive into some of that newer technology. The trade shows are really cool. I'm seeing stuff here that I'm not used to and haven't seen before. I'm like, oh man, that is amazing. Like, I want to learn that. But yeah, you know, people get used to what they do and kind of stuck in the old school stuff. And it's good to keep that all in mind. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool things out there that I would, you know, love to get more hands on with and kind of bring back.
Awesome. So what's the coolest thing so far that have you seen?
Oh man. I wasn't proof that. I'm not keeping it all in mind, man. I'm seeing, you know, I'm seeing a lot of really interesting things with tanklesses and storage systems and stuff like that. And something that I don't really touch a whole lot is we do tanklesses quite a bit, but we kind of have like 1 or 2 units that we like. We know that they work well, and it's what we present most of the time to the customers. Same with water heaters, but learning what's out there, you know, heat pump water heaters, systems like that. You know, there's so much more out there that's really pushing the envelope on like efficiency and, you know, I'm seeing some really cool stuff pop up around here.
It's crazy. I every year it's getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And you think that, okay, we've done it, and then it's getting better.
Yeah.
Constantly.
There's so much cool stuff out there. I know some guys who do like net zero homes, you know, super high efficiency stuff, green
5-star green stuff,
yeah. And there's so many, you know, really cool stuff happening kind of on like that leading edge thing. It's not for everybody. It's not for every home builder. It's not for every plumber wants to or is interested in that. But there's like, I think there's a lot of really cool technology out there that will start to trickle down into regular use. It just, you know, it makes all our lives easier and better.
Right. And the cool thing about you being at the trade show, if you think about it, like even my message about how to excel in your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You're here learning and seeing what's out there, and you're talking to reps and stuff. You're building relationships and connections.
Yeah.
And compared to the guy that's not coming to the trade show, you are so far ahead. And if you keep doing that, the connections will serve you so well in the future.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's been such a cool experience.
Yeah.
Getting to come here and, you know, talk to the reps behind the products I use and just even talk to people from other companies in the greater area. Yeah. Building those connections, building those networks are super important.
Very cool. Well, Thalan, thanks for being on the show. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Me. You
Absolutely.
too.
Take care.
You as well.
Thank you for sticking around to the end of the show. Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Making the trades the place to be for young people is a team effort. So share this with someone and help us all out.